Welcome back to Learning to Code with Multi-Theft Auto. In this episode, we're going to dive into client-side scripting with MTA and what that allows us to do. Then we're going to build a fun little script using client-side scripting where we make a car fly. So let's talk about client-side scripts a little. Here we have a meta.xml file, and in each one of these files that we've created so far for each of our resources, we've added scripts with type server. Now, type server means that is going to run on our actual server. So we have our server here. All of the scripts are running in this process and are being handled right there. But there's another way that we can run scripts in Multi-Theft Auto. What we can do is we can have scripts running in our actual MTA client that we have here. So here's my MTA client. This can run code that we send to the client. If you've ever joined a Multi-Theft Auto server, usually you have a little loading bar at the beginning of when you join in, and that is because you're loading all of the client data down from the server so that you can run it locally on your computer or your MTA client. So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to jump back over to our code, and we're going to create a new script called vehicles_c. We're going to specify this script as type client so that the server knows to send this script down to the MTA client so that it can run there. This allows us to do all sorts of new stuff. So we go ahead and create our file, and then we jump in, and what can we do here? Well, for starters, we can do a lot of the same things that we've done on our server. So we can output a chat box message. But in this case, we don't need to specify who we're outputting to because we're already running it on a player's machine. So it's only going to run to that player. So we can go and directly just go ahead and set what the colors are that we want to send that to. And if we jump over to our server, let's just go ahead and give ourselves access to a new command. So what we're going to do is we're going to give admin access to command.restart and set that to true. And now with that updated, if we open the console, you'll see we can do restart just like this. And by typing restart, what that'll allow us to do is restart resources. So we come and do restart vehicles. We see that it ran our code and said hello there. So if we jump back over to our code, we can do some basic stuff like this, but I could already do that with the server. What's so special about being able to do it on the client? Well, for starters, you don't want to put all of the work on your server. It'll become very inefficient and your server won't be able to keep up with 100 players playing at once. So by pushing some of that work off onto each client to do themselves, you're alleviating some of that stress. You can also do things like interact specifically with the world around the player. You can play off of events that run every time the screen renders. You can do all sorts of different things that you're specifically capable of doing because you're in the client. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make use of something in Grand Theft Auto single player called air cars. Air cars is a special property that you could set by executing a cheat in single player, and we're going to make that possible in multiplayer as sort of an admin command. So the first thing that we're going to do is let's just try and add a command right here. We'll make a fly car command. And what we will do is we will make use of a keyword that MTA gives us by default called local player. So we have this local player variable that we can use wherever we want. And what we want to do in this case is we want to get the player's currently occupied vehicle. So MTA provides us with a function called getPedOccupiedVehicle. And then we're just going to take local player and pass that in as an argument. And if we don't get a vehicle, then we're going to let the player know. With one of our standard error messages there. And now that we know that the player is in a vehicle, what we're going to be able to do is we're going to set world special property enabled. This turns on a special property against the specific client to tell it this player should be flying. Let's give this a try. Let's go over to our vehicle here, and we're going to restart vehicles. Oops. Now that we've restarted vehicles, we are going to fly car. And we should be able to fly now. So this is one example of something that you can do only on the client. You can only enable flying when you're on the client side because it's something that specifically the MTA client itself has to do. And let's go ahead and just land here. So how is this practical? There's 1,000 different things that you're going to want to be able to do using client-side scripting. The main one that you see everywhere is creating GUI interfaces. If we jump over and look at the wiki, you'll see that we have a bunch of different opportunities. If we go over to client scripting functions, there is an entire section on GUIs. There is a whole bunch of different things that we can do that are very specific to the client. So I suggest dive in, grab a hold of the wiki here, and give it a try. All right, that's going to be it for this episode, guys. I hope you got a little bit of understanding about how client-side scripting works. In the next episode, we're going to dive deeper and build our first GUI.